What's up, Las Vegas? If you're thinking about buying or selling a home in our valley right now, you need to hear this. The Las Vegas real estate market just hit a major turning point in August of 2025, and I've got some eye-opening numbers that are going to change how you think about our local market. I'm talking about the biggest inventory surge we've seen in years, sales dropping by double digits, but here's the kicker. Prices are still holding strong. Las Vegas just got labeled as the fastest cooling housing market in the entire United States. But before you panic, let me break it down exactly what it means for you, whether you're buying, selling, or just keeping an eye out for your home's value. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If we haven't met before, just real quick, my name is Eric and call sign's Nuke. And if you need any help, call, text, email. My information is down below and in the pinned comments. And I'm more than glad to help you guys out. Let's get back to the show. So welcome to the channel. I've spent the last week deep diving into the August 2025 market data because that is the latest data we have. And I've got to tell you, this is one of the most interesting market shifts I've seen in my many years of covering the Las Vegas real estate market. Today, we're going to cover everything you need to know about the local market. I'll break down the numbers for both single-family homes, condos, townhomes, all that, and show you what's happening here in the Las Vegas Valley. And most importantly, I'll give you my honest advice as to what you should do if you're planning to buy, sell within the next few months or next year. I've analyzed data from Las Vegas Realtors, which is our realtor association, looked at the Federal Reserve economic indicators, and I've even checked out some of the other local experts to see what they're saying on different forums, YouTube, and everything else. Plus, I've got some charts and visuals that are going to make some of this information a little bit clearer for you. So let's start with the big picture, looking at August of 2025. And hey, this is a month that really showed us where our market is headed. And folks, we are officially in a buyer's market right now. Here's some of the headline numbers that everyone is talking about. So let's start with the single family homes. And this is where most of you are probably focused. We sold 1,835 homes in August. That is down 14.2% from August of last year. And the median price is now down by $5,000 to $480,000, which, believe it or not, is still slightly up from last year by about 0.7%. But here's the really big picture that you have to think about. We now have 7,206 homes available for sale at the end of the month, which is a massive 36.8% increase from last August. Now, what does that mean in real terms? Well, at a current sales price, we have about 3.9 months of inventory. Last year, about this time, we only had about 2.5 months, and that is a huge difference. And that's why the buyers suddenly have way more power than they had in many years. Now, for condos and townhomes, the story is even more dramatic. We sold 485 of those suckers back in August, and that's down 15.4% from last year. The median price was $298,000, but that is up 2.1% year over year. But get this, we have 2,560 condos and townhomes available, which is up 56.1% from last August, giving us 5.3 months of supply. So George Krapas, the president of Las Vegas Realtors, put it perfectly when he said the following, quote, "Home prices here in Southern Nevada haven't moved much this year. Besides having more homes on the market to choose from, buyers should also be pleased to see mortgage interest rates going down this month," end quote. Now let me put this in national perspective because this is important. According to Newsweek, Las Vegas is now the fastest cooling market in the entire country. We're not just cooling, we're leading the nation in how quickly things are changing. Redfin, their data shows that our inventory jumped 44.8% year over year, which is the largest increase of any major metro area that they track. Meanwhile, our sales have dropped 10.2% in July compared to last year. But here's what's really interesting. While our market is cooling fast, we're not seeing the price crashes that some people might expect. Our median home price, no, that's overall, condos, single family, townhomes, is down only 2.2% from last year, and that's still well above the national median. This tells us something important. Las Vegas real estate still has a strong underlying value. We're not in a bubble that's bursting. We're in a market that's finding a new equilibrium after some pretty crazy pandemic years. Let me give you some historical context because it really helps to explain where we are today. Back in July 2019, before the pandemic hit, our median home price was just below $300,000. Then COVID happened and everything went crazy. By June of 2022, we hit a peak of overall housing of 447,500, and that is a 49% increase in just 3 years. But here's the thing, that pace was never sustainable. We all knew it, but the market just kept going anyway because of low interest rates and everyone wanting to move here. Look at our annual sales volume, and that really tells a story. Back in 2021, at the height of the pandemic boom, we sold 50,000 homes, and that was our peak year. Then reality started settling in 2022. Sales dropped to about 35,600 homes. In 2023, we had just over 29,000 sales, and that was our slowest year since 2008. Last year, in 2024, we saw a modest rebound to about 31,300 sales, but based on our current pace of 2025, we're looking at about 27,800 sales for the full year. That's actually getting us back to more normal, sustainable levels. So what's driving all these changes? There are several factors working together. First, interest rates. Right now, a 30-year fixed mortgage is averaging 6.29%. That's a huge jump from the 2 to 3% rates we saw during the pandemic. For a lot of buyers, that extra 2 or 3% of interest, that's pricing them out of a home that's affordable to them. And that was just a couple of years ago. Second, our local economy. Las Vegas unemployment rate hit 6% in July, which is higher than the national average. We're still heavily dependent on tourism and the hospitality industry. And when people are worried about their jobs, guess what? They're not buying homes. Third, we had a construction boom during the pandemic. Builders were trying to keep up with the demand. And now that all the new inventory is hitting the market, just as demand is cooling off, it's classic supply and demand economics. And finally, there's what I call pandemic fatigue. A lot of people who are thinking about moving during COVID have already moved. The pent-up demand from that period, that's been satisfied. Now, let's talk about what's happening in different parts of our valley, because not every area is performing in the same way. For single-family homes, Las Vegas, we'll call it proper, because you know what, that's a whole different video. We had 14,092 sales in August with a median price of $440,000. For Henderson, which tends to be our premium market, we had 477 sales with a median of about $489,995. In North Las Vegas, our most affordable option had 267 sales at $420,000. Now, what's interesting is that Henderson is holding its value better than the other areas. And that $489,995 median is still close to $500,000 mark, which shows that buyers are still willing to pay a premium price for premium locations. For condos and townhomes, the story is similar, but a little bit more dramatic. Las Vegas had 311 sales at a median price of about $268,500. Henderson, 112 sales for $354,500. North Las Vegas had just 41 sales at $330,000. The condo market is really feeling the pinch because a lot of these properties are second homes or investment properties. When the market gets uncertain, those are the first purchases that people postpone. let's talk about how people are financing their purchases, because this tells us a lot about market confidence. For single family homes, conventional financing is still the most popular at about 47% of all sales. But what's really interesting is cash buyers still make up almost 20% of the market. That's down from the peak of the pandemic years when cash was sometimes 60% of sales. But it's still significant. FHA buyers represent 20% of sales, and VA buyers, they're around 10% of sales. And this is actually still a pretty good, healthy mix, and shows that the market is accessible to different types of buyers. For condos and townhomes, cash buyers are more prominent at about 34% of the sales. This makes sense because a lot of these are investment properties or second homes where people are more flexible to pay cash. All right, let's get into the practical stuff. If you're thinking about buying right now, this is actually a great time to be in the market. First, you have some choices again. Remember those days when you had to make an offer sight unseen and waive all your contingencies? Well, those days are over. You can take your time, look at multiple properties, and actually negotiate. You can negotiate hard. Second, sellers are motivated. With homes sitting on the market longer, sellers are much more willing to negotiate on price, closing costs, and other terms. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want. Third, consider asking for rate buydowns. With interest rates still high, 6.2% in my opinion, still high. You can ask the seller to contribute money towards buying down your interest rates. This can save you hundreds of dollars per month. Fourth, look for properties that need some work. These are staying on the market much longer. This means you might get a better deal if you're willing to put in a little bit of sweat equity. So here's my biggest piece of advice. Don't try to time the bottom of the market. If you find a home that you love at a price you can afford and you're planning to stay there for at least 5 years, go for it. Real estate is a long-term game, and Las Vegas has always been a strong long-term market. Now, if you're thinking about selling, you need to adjust your expectations and your strategy. First, and most important, price it right from the start. The days of overpricing and getting multiple offers are pretty much gone. Work with a good agent and price your home competitively based on recent sales, not what your neighbor's house sold for 6 months ago. Second, presentation matters more than ever. With buyers having more choice, your home needs to stand out. This means decluttering, deep cleaning, and making sure everything is in good repair. First impressions are everything in this market. Third, be prepared to negotiate. The first offer you get might not be your best offer, but don't get greedy. A bird in hand is worth two in the bush, especially in this market right here. Fourth, start now. Consider offering incentives. Maybe you pay for home warranty. I'm going to tell you right now, pay for a home warranty. Or you can offer credit for closing costs. Or if you're flexible on your closing date, little things can just really make a big difference and make your home more attractive to buyers. Remember, always think about where your market is. And finally, be patient. The average home is taking longer to sell. They don't sell in a weekend anymore. Instead of selling in 30 days, you might be looking at 60 or 90 days as the norm. Plan accordingly. Don't panic if you don't get an offer in the first week. Don't go calling up your realtor going like,
how come no one's seen my house? It's been 2 weeks.
That is the new normal, okay? If no one's seen your house in 2 weeks, that's called normal. We are now in a normal market and shifting to a buyer's market. They have choices, okay? So what's my outlook for the rest of 2025 and into 2026? I think we're going to continue seeing this buyer's market for the rest of the year. Inventory will probably stay elevated and sales will remain slower than in the pandemic years. But don't think we're headed for a crash anytime soon. Las Vegas has too many fundamental strengths. We have no state income taxes. we're still growing as a city. And we're diversifying our economy right now beyond just tourism and the casinos and the conventions and all this stuff. The new businesses moving here, the infrastructure investments, and our relative affordability of cost compared to California all suggest long-term demand. Interest rates will continue to come down, and when they do, we'll see more buyers enter the market. But that's probably not going to happen until late 2025 or 2026. From a meeting I was in today, we're looking at 2 this year, 4 to 6 next year, which is really going to spur the market. My prediction, we'll see a gradual stabilization over the next 12 to 18 months, followed by a return to modest, sustainable growth. Not the crazy 20% annual appreciation we saw during COVID, but a steady 3 to 5% annual growth that's much healthier for everyone. Look, I know these numbers and trends can feel a bit overwhelming right now, but here's the bottom line. Las Vegas real estate is still a good long-term investment. We're just in a different phase of the cycle right now. If you're buying, take advantage of your newfound negotiation power that you haven't had in a decade. If you're selling, learn to be realistic and strategic and better than your neighbors. If you're just watching the market, remember that these cycles are normal and healthy, and don't get caught with your pants down when things change. Because when interest rates get too low and everyone rushes in, you've missed the boat. The key is to make your decisions based on your personal situation, not on trying to time the market perfectly. Whether you're buying your first home, upgrading to something bigger, or downsizing for retirement, there are opportunities for you in this market if you know how to find them. That's a wrap on our August 2025 market update, which is actually for September, because August are our numbers. If this was helpful, I want you to smash that like button, subscribe, and get more market updates. And drop a comment below with your questions. I try to get to them, but lately everything's been blowing up. I get so many these days. And if we haven't met before, by now, I hope I've earned a little bit of your business. Again, my name is Eric. I'm an agent here in Las Vegas. I help people buy and sell real estate. If you need any help, call, text, email. Better yet, get on my calendar. My information is down below and in the pinned comment. And for my military brothers and sisters, you know the drill. Alpha, Mike, Foxtrot. And for the rest of my audience, which is the majority of my viewers, you know that we love you, and we're going to keep them lights on for you. And right now, the YouTubes is putting up another video. And according to them, you're going to love it just as much as you loved this one if you made it this far. And can you do me a favor? Can you meet me over there? And we're going to talk some more.